What I want to do here today is show you how the tarot must be studied in conjunction with the Kabbalistic tree of life. They're inseparable. They go together and can't be studied in isolation from each other if they're to be truly understood. Now, how many spheres are on the tree of life? 10. 10 major sephirot, right? The sphere called Da'at was not one of the sephirot. It was considered in the Kabbalistic tradition the place from which the tree grows, or the origin of the tree. It is the essence of the tree, and it represents knowledge. The word da'at in Hebrew means knowledge. So, if we look at that as the essence of one of the trees in Kabbalah, we have really two trees of life. There's a macrocosmic tree and a microcosmic tree. These two trees are talked about in biblical symbolism in the book of Revelation. All right? And what they really represent is the microcosmic tree of the qualities of the self, and then the macrocosmic tree of the qualities of nature, of the universe. So what I did right here is I took the first 11 cards of the major arcana, and I dealt them in a very specific progression onto the Kabbalistic tree of life. We're going to do the same for the second 11 cards with the macrocosmic tree of life. All right? So, 22 cards in the major arcana. 1111. There's another very spiritual number, a very significant synchronistic and synchromistic number. 1111. 1111. The reason I'm bringing it up is because 1111 is symbolically encoded in this breakdown that I'm putting forward. We're using 11 cards, the first half of the major arcana in the microcosmic tree, and then the second 11 cards in the macrocosmic tree. Now, how I have dealt them is simply in that order that we talked about of the spheres, the sephirot's numbered system. At the top where you have Malkuth, that's 1. Then you move to the right side, that's 2. Then to the left side, that's 3. Then you move down a notch, that's 4. And then to the other end, going like this. That's 5. All right, now in the dot position, I have put the card, the Fool. The Fool is in the dot position. What is the first body of knowledge in the occult? It's the knowledge of self. It's the knowledge of the human psyche and how it operates. That's the dot position, the knowledge of self. This is the self card. It's properly understood. It's not the Fool card, it's the soul card. You know, the being going off into the land of incarnation without much knowledge and, without a whole lot of baggage to back him up. Taking a leap of faith coming into this world, trying to make any change happen here. That's certainly a fool's errand, isn't it? But, not to be dissuaded from that work, this is also a leap of faith and an act of will, that he's going to go into that realm and survive it and create a change. Because it's not just him being in a naive state, it's him also being in a trusting state with the light at his back. The light has his back, the sun. It's the sun card. The zero card, it's the no thing. It's the pure essence of spirit, or the spark of the divine. Amazing symbolism just contained in that one card. Then we're going to look at all 10 of the cards, but backwards from 10 to 1. This is the Fool's journey. The Fool's journey from darkness and ignorance at the bottom of the tree in Malkuth, in worldly, earthbound identification, all the way up to the position of self-mastery as the magician or the magi at the crown level of Keter on the tree of life. So here we go with the journey of the soul, the journey of the self, the Fool's journey. And there I'm showing where the Fool is at the dot position. All right, now we're going to start at Malkuth. Let's go down to Malkuth, the bottom of the tree of life, at the Wheel of Fortune, card number 10. The Wheel of Fortune represents pure earth identification. It represents not really having knowledge. That's why you're on the wheel. It's the wheel of karma. When we are in ignorance, we are subject. What gets us out of this earthbound identification is desire. And I don't mean just desire to want things in an egoic way. I'm talking about the desire for more, the desire for betterment within the self. Okay, the desire for self-knowledge, the desire to know oneself, and then to know also about the realm in which we operate, the natural world and its laws. So, when we make that decision to develop that desire for truth, for light, for knowledge, that's where the hermit comes in. The hermit card represents the desire for knowledge. See, he's not in a state of knowledge. He's not the purified being in the white robe. He has gray robes on. He's humbled. He knows that he doesn't know. He knows how much he still has to learn. And he's lighting the lamp to go off in search of knowledge and understanding and wisdom, you know? So let's move to the next card at the 8 position. And this would be, we would be at the solar plexus chakra level on the tree of life at this point. Again, this is a dualistic chakra. This is a dualistic level of the tree of life. There is on the feminine pillar, which is depicted on the left side of the Kabbalistic tree, there's the internal qualities of the self. And on the right-hand side, there's externalized qualities. So you have to look at that pillar going up and down the left-hand side, those 3 cards, that's known as the pillar of severity. But in Kabbalistic terms, what that pillar represents is internal qualities. It can represent darkness as well, if you look at it from a certain perspective. That which is not readily seen, which is on the inside, that you have to penetrate a little bit deeper to see or to find. And then these 3 cards on the right-hand pillar, the pillar of mercy, are the more masculine or active properties of the self, as we'll see. Okay? So at this level, this is the courage or strength card. And the 2 aspects of will, there's an internal quality, which is courage, right? Courage is developed within. Then you have to do something in the external world to bring courage into manifestation, to act upon it. And then we go to the next level and we see that's the chariot, which represents will in the tarot. So you had the one card with the woman holding the lion's mouth open fearlessly, which represents courage. Okay, that's an internal feminine quality. Now you have the masculine quality of getting things done in the real world, the will to act. Male and female. All right, so it's not just about sexual union. We're talking about unifying the masculine and feminine aspects of self, such that we develop true care, the generative principle. And again, that is the Lover's card depicted right in the middle of the tree of life. This position, the Tiferet position on the tree, every card is connected to. Every card has direct path, line of sight to the Tiferet card, because that's the central focus of the tree. The generative principle, the heart, is at the core of everything, what we care about enough to do in our life or to put into manifestation in our life is actually what gets done and gets manifested. And that's why it's called the generative or creative principle. Let's move up another level, and we are at the severity Sephirot. Geburah, the Hierophant is there. Now, this card is placed on the pillar of severity. It's at the sphere called severity, Geburah, and this card represents working with the self, actually motivating yourself to change. And that's why it's called severity. It's like the parts of yourself you have to whip into shape. The parts of yourself you don't, once you've arrived at a certain level of knowledge and understanding and care, how do you work with other people to help them to manifest change in their own lives? And that's why the emperor it's the symbol of state, because it's the thing that does influence, quote unquote, control toward others. I'm not saying that means you want to go out and try to control everybody else, but it's the symbol of external influence, let's call it, whereas the Hierophant or Pope is the symbol of internal influence upon oneself. I hope that's clear and makes sense to people. We're coming up now to the next chakra, which is the third eye chakra, representing true intelligence. So we have a feminine aspect to that and a masculine aspect to that on the two sides of the tree, respectively. The Empress is at the top of the feminine side of the microcosmic or soul tree of life, the personal aspects of the tree of life. This is the Binah Sephirah, and Binah means understanding. Understanding is an internal quality, as we talked about. You know, it's what goes on within yourself. You take in the knowledge, you process it through mental processes, and then you come to a level of understanding internally. So the high priestess, while of course depicting the goddess, in this case the goddess Isis, is a feminine figure on the card. This card represents the top of the masculine pillar on the tree of life as an active quality. The goddess represented wisdom, and you see her between the two pillars, similar in Freemasonry, Boaz and Jachin, or Yakin. And of course, these are corollaries to the pillar of severity and the pillar of mercy in the Kabbalistic tree as well. So again, Freemasonry, Tarot, Kabbalah, they all have to be studied in conjunction with each other. They are not separate sciences. They're really, again, many paths to the same destination. It's a different way of explaining correspondences and knowledge, but you get to the same end result. So that's when we move toward the highest level of consciousness, self-mastery, sovereignty, true self-respect, true self-love, actively being involved as a magician in this world. The magician is the one who stands between the realms, who stands between the worlds. You know, again, he has his head in the cosmos, but his feet on the ground. He is an anchoring point. He is a bridge. He's bridging the light of the Creator down to the world, which is why he has the scepter of power connected to the higher realm, but he's pointing at the earth. And he's mastered all the forces of nature. The wand, the sword, the cup, and the pentacles, earth, air, water, and fire, the four elements again. Okay, so this card represents self-mastery from total ignorance and base identification at Malkuth, coming up through all those other characteristics of the self on the personal journey on the microcosmic tree to the highest level, to Keter, or the crown chakra, which represents total self-mastery.
Was the prophecy of Revelation an ongoing process that essentially started sometime before the Great War? Was the 20th century an unfolding of the final book of the Bible? When the Great War finally ended, on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, the old world, with its noble and imperial ways, was well and truly dead.
That's the very first shuttle that got to the moon was Apollo 11.
Yeah, there you go.
And then, for instance, in Great Britain, I'm sure I think it's celebrated around the world actually, but on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, we celebrate Remembrance Day, in which we honour our war dead, but it's on an 11/11, and it's basically the Queen and a load of other people taking poppies to a cenotaph, which is an obelisk essentially.
Yeah.
So little strange events going on all over the place.
Indeed.
I mean, talking about the Queen moving into royalty, and this is where I'll lead much deeper into royalty later on. But basically, if you look into the history of the word crown and the royal crown, the word crown was derived from Anglo-French word called couronne, which is derived from Latin for corona. But the year that the word crown, was first established was in the year 1111.
Huh, really? That's interesting.
Right.
Huh,
So,
wow.
you can't just say that these are coincidences. All of these things that are kind of connected up. And